Hey there, can you tell that I don't get enough sleep and I have no control over my life, and it's fine. We not here. What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the Tekken Talk that just took place. Now, if you're not familiar with what Tekken Talk is, basically it's a series of live streams or like live programs or events, broadcasts, whatever that the Tekken team has been doing that details and breaks down all the updates and future plans and content, etc, for Tekken 8 since this game was released. And they just wrapped up one of those broadcasts, but it was over 2 hours long, and while I enjoyed it, it was really late at night. A lot of you guys didn't see it. I'm sure you guys have seen other videos of this by now. But basically, I want to bring you guys a condensed version recapping some of the most important and noteworthy bits from that stream. I did a live reaction to this on my Twitch channel, and at first I just thought about re-uploading that or like chopping it up, but I figured that this would be easier to digest, and so here we are today bringing you this video. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So let's jump over to the monitor, and the first thing I want us to take a look at is this right here. As you can see, one of the very first things that they addressed was actually talking about account suspensions. They just did another ban wave of banning people where they're basically trying to get rid of rage quitters or pluggers, as Tekken just I don't like the terms plugging and plugger. I hate that that's become the norm in Tekken, but whatever. Pluggers, they're banning pluggers, cheaters, people who are like hacking the game and doing all types of different things, whatever. Obviously they haven't gotten every single person right. There are still some very blatant cheaters who are on the leaderboards, and people who haven't been addressed yet that absolutely should have. They've like told this line and talked back and forth about like the legalities of certain things, and like I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm some expert on the legalities behind these things, like how the ins and outs of how this works or whatever. But I know other games ban people. They're banning people in this game as well. They weren't sure about certain things because of like lawsuits they've seen other people have from revoking online access to people's games and whatever. The point remains though that they are in fact continuing to ban and suspend players. They said that they've given some people some warnings. The thing about this is that, like, for me, this is cool. You know, this is nice to see that they are taking some sort of action. But for a lot of people, especially the ones who have been very vocal about, you know, all the cheating and whatnot going on in Tekken, this isn't enough, right? And I agree, it's not enough, but it's a good step in the right direction. And I do want to give them credit for taking that step, but more needs to happen. But they addressed that in the stream. So the number one thing that I feel like I've been seeing a lot of people discuss or talk about or bring up as a topic when talking about this stuff is particularly or specifically as it applies to ranked, right? The thing people want to see is that when somebody plugs, disconnects, rage quits, whatever, is that the person who did not disconnect is actually rewarded with the win on their record and the points that they would have earned for winning the set. Now, they talked about not being able to always with 100% accuracy discern like who disconnected, especially with it being peer-to-peer, whatever. And they talked about, they kind of hinted at some stuff like dedicated servers and some things that they're trying out, whatever. I'm not gonna get my hopes up and get hyped up and think that they're gonna have dedicated servers for Tekken. That would be lit. That's what like Riot Games do. That's what Project L is gonna have, and that makes things better for the connectivity and for also being able to decide, okay, this person needs to be banned, that person should get the win and these points, so on and so forth. That would be phenomenal. I would love that. Fingers crossed. That would be sick. I don't know if that's where things are going, but that's kind of what they was alluding to, what Michael Murray was talking about. So we're gonna see if that make it do what it do. When it comes to how they're going to be punishing players who like disconnect and rage quit, and how they reward players who stay and would have otherwise won the match, they expressed several different ideas that they're exploring and testing and everything like that. So it does seem like they do hear us. They are listening, and they're trying to figure out what the best method is to go through or follow through with. I know for some of you guys it seems really simple. Oh, just reward us with the points and just punish them and take their points away, whatever. They make it seem like it's not that simple, so maybe it really isn't that simple. I don't know. I'm not a developer, but they are experimenting and toying around with ideas. Michael Murray even said they had one idea that they were messing around with, where it would essentially be like a Mortal Kombat quitality, where like 4 guys would come on stage and like beat up the other person's character or something like that. And then they said that in that build, they ultimately decided that that was a bit too silly and too funny, and that people might do it intentionally to make that happen. So they ended up not going with that. But they are experimenting with ideas on how to follow through with this. So only time will tell what they eventually land on. By the way, if I didn't already mention it, because I think I forgot to say that this update, the next update that we're getting for this game, will be coming on April 1st. So that would include the release or the pre-early access release for Eddie Gordo, which we'll touch on a little bit later, as well as, you know, the patch, which we'll also mention, and so on and so forth. I'm going to have separate videos for both the patch notes and for Eddie, but we are going to touch on it briefly here in this video. But yeah, the first thing that they addressed was the pluggers, the account suspensions and everything, like that. And they are doing their best to eliminate as many of those players as possible. Although that being said, a lot of those guys that are getting banned are just obviously making alternate accounts and then just starting over and playing up some more, which I mean, like, at least they have to, like, well, I was gonna say at least they have to earn it again, but they're not earning it because they're cheating and disconnecting and doing all this dumb shit anyway. So it's like, how effective is what they're doing so far? Really not that effective, I guess. But like I said, it's a step. It's just the first step, and hopefully they continue to take more steps in order to make a better online environment for all of them. The very next thing I want to talk about is this right here, the character adjustments that are coming to the game. As you can see, there's a ton of adjustments, but this isn't a super huge balance patch full of buffs and nerfs like you might be expecting or hoping to see. That will be coming, but not until May. Now, I understand that might be disappointing for some of you guys, but I just want you to keep in mind that EVO Japan is approaching. It is almost upon us. That will be happening next month in April, and they probably didn't want to do a huge major overhaul of the game balance wise right before the first big event, you know, on the world tour and everything like that, in an event such as big and prestigious as EVO. Obviously EVO Japan not as, you know, on the same caliber necessarily as like EVO, but it's still EVO, you know what I'm saying? That being said, they did make some adjustments that are noteworthy and worth pointing out, and I'll have a separate video covering these patch notes. But there's one change in particular that they showcased that I'm gonna fast forward here to show you guys, because I think a lot of you guys are gonna love this, and I want to say it was somewhere right here around 39 minutes. And I'm gonna let Michael Murray explain it to you.
So basically, what we're gonna do with this is we're changing the properties so that when the first hit, the knee, doesn't connect, then the follow-up attack, it just whiffs, right?
That's right.
So it should be easier to go around. And then also the active frames of the move have also been decreased by 3. So, you know, if your back's on the wall or something like that, some of these really kind of frustrating circumstances should be alleviated.
Go ahead, demonstrate it for us. Go ahead, show us.
Until then,
and there it is. There it is. Yeah, they nerfed as you're saying is while running 3-2, which I think we can all agree was deserved and justified, and it doesn't like completely destroy or ruin the character. But here's my thing, right? I genuinely believe, okay? I genuinely believe that if they hadn't made this adjustment, we would have had a Leroy Japan situation all over again. I firmly believe that bare minimum there would have been 4 Azure Sandas in top 8, especially since she's dominating the Asian scene so far, especially like the Korean scene. Bare minimum 4, but if you were asking me, I would have put money on like 5 or 6. I guess we'll never know. It's probably going to be a little bit more diverse now because of the change to that move in particular. She still might show up a couple of times, you know what I'm saying? But I think that this was a very much needed change. Otherwise, she probably would have dominated the top 8 at EVO Japan. Again, this is a prediction that we'll never really know for sure or not whether that's true, but a good change. The other noteworthy change, and again, there's some other ones in this patch notes, but the other one that they talked about specifically on the stream that I want to bring up to you guys is that they kind of fixed the throw break bug, where basically, let's say if you're blocking and you do a punch or a one, whatever, let's say you're holding one, right, and you get hit with a throw, you're like locked out of the throw break window, and it's like a really weird, it was a bug, it was a glitch, something like that, where you would get locked out of the throw break window if you were holding a button already. And it's not supposed to be that way. They're fixing that in this update. And what's not coming in this update, but Nakatsu specifically addressed and mentioned that he wants to fix and will be changing probably in the next update in May, is counter hit throw. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of what counter hit throw is, basically, in this game, throws have a certain break window, right? And it's fairly large. I don't remember the exact frames off the top of my head, but it's a decently large window. You know, throws are reactable, okay? However, when you're thrown like as a counter hit, the throw window actually shrinks quite significantly and becomes much more difficult to break. Nearly impossible. It's still possible, like it happens, but basically only if like you're already expecting it or like doing it preemptively, if you're mashing or something like that. You basically cannot react. The throw break window shrinks that much, and apparently this is an unintended behavior. This was a bug, this was a glitch. They didn't really intend for it to be that way, so they're planning on fixing that. I kind of still feel like throws could use a little bit of a nerf in terms of the homing and tracking that they have, but that's just me. But in terms of like nerfing counter hit throw, I'm here for that. I'm down for that. It is what it is. And next up on the list, I want to talk about this little graphic that you can see right here. They mentioned wanting to balance the game based around the popularity of certain characters and how successful they are at high ranks and their win rates and everything like that. And obviously that is not the only thing they're taking into consideration, but it is something that they're taking into account when they are making adjustments to these characters for this game. And I'll zoom in just a little bit more so you guys can probably see that just a tiny bit better. Now, if you see this top part up here, this blue portion, this is the character usage, the official character usage rankings for the game across all online modes. This red one is ranked, but only for ranks that are above Tekken God, which is obviously a fairly high rank, so it's a relatively small sample size in comparison to how many people are actually playing the game, because very few players are making it that high in the ranks right now. But yeah, and to no surprise, we have Reina up there at number 1, King at number 2, Jin 3rd, Dragunov 4th. To me, like, Swadong being 5th is still very surprising. I know you all hate the character, whatever. He's a noob stomper, a scrub smasher. You pick some buttons up, you destroy everyone's hopes and dreams in the red ranks. I get it, he becomes a lot harder later on, but easy to pick up, hard to master, whatever it is what it is. No surprise seeing Victor and Azucena up there. June, I'm surprised that she's not just a little bit high up. Steve is actually probably the biggest surprise to me showing up here in the top 10, because even though I do think Steve's a cool character, even though I'm not the biggest fan of the voice acting in this game, for him in particular, he's considered pretty weak and pretty difficult. And you normally don't see really weak, really hard characters that high in the popularity, but it just is what it is. And you see how things shift a little bit, like Hwadong drops and then like Dragunov goes up, you know what I'm saying? Azucena goes up. When you look at like the rankings and like these characters and whatnot, King being as low as he is surprises me a little bit. June being as low as she is surprises me a little bit. But other than that, there's nothing really super shocking here, I would say. I guess the only one would be like Paul being as low as he is in the overall rankings, because I feel like Paul's normally a more popular character than this. I'm going to assume that these are ordered in these little sections here, from most popular to least popular, especially considering Panda's dead last, because the bears are always last. I guess Kuma's more popular than Panda. Don't really know why, but it is what it is. Maybe a little bit of sexism there. I'm just kidding. Relax. It's not that serious. But yeah, Zafina, Leroy, Panda, these characters are pretty much the bottom of all the rankings. But I think that this is really cool. I would love for them to put out these official rankings like every month, once or twice a month, or even every other month or whatever, just because I think it's really cool information. I think it's really cool data. And they've said that they've had this data for years now. Like, we know that they have it, obviously, and they can acquire it and distribute it a lot easier than like the users can who've been doing it on Twitter and Reddit when I talk about it. And that's the thing, is that I really enjoy looking at it. I really enjoy talking about it. You guys enjoy listening to me talk about it. When I make these videos talking about rank distribution and character popularity and everything like that, those videos do really well. You guys are really engaged in the comment section. It's fun to talk about and discuss and take a look at. So I would love it if they would put this out more often. They're probably not going to do that, but it would be cool if they did. That being said, taking one last look at things, there is no surprise here for the most part, particularly in the ranks. Like, you look at this top 5, and that's probably the exact top 5 that you would have expected for the most part. I don't think this comes as a shock to literally anybody. Maybe some people are surprised to see Reina this high, because we know that Reina actually has one of the lowest win rates, but I'm of the belief that Reina is still one of the most powerful characters in the game. And while she may not be as accessible as the other characters in front of her, even Fang right behind her, she's a character, like, once you learn how to play her, you really do some damage with her. And she is a very, very powerful tool. You can't be piloted by just anybody, I suppose. I know I made the joke that, oh, you can get carried by Reina. People took that really serious and really literal and kind of got upset about that. I've been playing the character myself. And by playing the character myself, I mean, I picked her up for 2 days and got her a Mighty Ruler. And I was like, okay, I have a better understanding of how this character works. But yeah, that's that. Moving on, however, there is a new feature coming to the game. There's some quality of life updates that I kind of want to talk about. Let me go ahead and change scenes here real quick. But I want to talk to you guys about this right here. Any third update, there are some functional improvements and bug fixes coming. But the number one thing worth talking about and pointing out here is a feature has been added to ranked match, quick match, and group match modes to allow for the termination and invalidation of matches if the network connection quality falls below certain specified conditions. So basically what this means is that if you and your opponent are in a very laggy match, you can both vote to make the match a no contest where it doesn't count. There's no win, there's no loss, no points are gained or lost on either side. It just doesn't show up on your record. It does not count. And to me, this is a beautiful addition. Now, here's the problem, okay? The issue is that, like, while I'm hoping to get some use out of this, and I'm sure you guys will hope to get some use out of this as well, how effective will it actually be? How often will it actually get used? Because, rightfully and understandably so, both players have to agree to this, right? And so if the other player doesn't agree, then it's obviously still going to count. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, the player who's not going to agree is going to be the player that has the shitty PC or the bad connection that is causing, you know, the game to lag and you know, for it to be detrimental to the playing experience. I think Street Fighter has something like this. I know in Mortal Kombat 1, in ranked, you have to accept every match unless it's over a certain ping. It's like 100 something or something like that. They did not specify the numbers, if I remember correct, what those conditions will be here. For me, I'm really hoping it's somewhere around 100, because anything under 100, I'm willing to play through. Anything under like at 1 to 2 rollback frames, I'm fine with. Once we start hitting 3 to 4 rollback frames, once it starts hitting 100 plus ping, to me, I no longer feel like I'm fighting my opponent. I feel like I'm fighting the game or fighting the connection. So they might try to be a little bit lenient with that and make it like 110, 120. For me, like, if it's over 100, bro, like, I want to be able to plead no contest, but that's just me. Only time will tell what these conditions, what these specified conditions will actually be and how much use we get out of it. Because like I said, both players have to agree, and if the player with the laggy connection decides that they don't want to vote no contest, then you just got to hold that, and it just is what it is. You have to play the match out or just hold the L, which oftentimes I just hold the L. But it is what it is. Anyway, an indication has also been added to the versus screen and player match mode to display when the stage has been randomly selected, which doesn't really matter to me that much. And then a quit option, which is really for the Steam version, but you know, it is what it is. No big deal there. But speaking of big deals, there is something, and this is the final thing I kind of want to address and talk about, but it's probably the biggest topic of conversation from this entire live stream. So let's just go ahead and get into it. So naturally, there's going to be an update to the Tekken shop. We're getting Yoshimitsu's Tekken Tag 2 Legacy costume, as well as like this Cyber Pack costume, which I'm good off that. I'm not gonna be copping that, but if you want it, it's there. Cool, whatever. People have really strong feelings about the Tekken shop, and they have really strong feelings about what I'm about to talk about next. That's right, new feature, the Tekken Fight Pass. Tekken 8 will be implementing a battle pass. Now, I know that people are already bringing out the torch. No, they're not bringing out the torches and pitchforks because they've already had the torches and pitchforks out for Namco. People have been up in arms. They feel very strongly about the microtransactions and the monetization of Tekken 8. A lot of people feel that a full price game should not be monetized in this way. I don't agree, but we can agree to disagree on that, and you're entitled to feel the way that you feel, the same way I'm entitled to feel the way that I feel. And I encourage you all to vote with your wallets if you feel that way, and obviously not engage with these microtransactions. Don't buy the battle pass. Don't buy the DLC if you feel that way. I'm somebody who can justify it by saying that I'm a lifelong fan of the franchise. I really, really enjoyed this game despite the flaws that it has. It's far from perfect, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's also my job to play it right now. It's not my job to speak well of it. Namco's not paying me. They didn't give me the game for free. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting flown out to events. I'm not benefiting from Bandai Namco in any way other than the fact that this is like the focus of my content right now. But that being said, I am a content creator. So full transparency, any purchase I make for the game or like in the game, I'm writing off on my taxes because that's just part of my job. That's just what I do. Like that's not just a me thing either. Like we're all doing that. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who's making content on this game, we're all doing that. But like, you know, so for me, it's easier to justify those purchases than it might be for your average Joe. And I understand that. And that's why I have my own biased perspective or whatever. And, you know, I'm willing to admit and acknowledge that. But, you know, it's not like I'm just going to buy anything and everything, right? Like that's the cyber costumes. Like I'm probably not going to cop that unless I come up with like a really cool custom idea where I'm like, oh, wait, I could turn that into that. Which, by the way, quickly talking about those costumes, when are y'all, like, they probably not gonna do this, but like I need to be able to mix and match the pieces, okay? Like if I purchase a costume, it's cool that I can change the colors and everything like that, but I should be able to take the jacket or the pants or the shoes and mix and match it with all the other pieces in the customization, because that's what makes it fun. Like if I can't mix and match it, what's the point? The legacy costumes is cool and all, but like let me take them cyber glasses from the male suit because it kind of look like a scouter from Dragon Ball. Let me mix that with some other pieces, you know what I'm saying? Like come on now, y'all being anyway. So yeah, the battle pass. I don't remember if they specified how much the battle pass is going to be. It's probably going to be like $10 or so, maybe 15. And you know, in that first battle pass, assuming that this cherry blossom health bar gauge is in there, I'm probably going to buy it. I'm not going to lie, but there's going to be a free version. And there's going to be a premium version where obviously you have to pay. And there's going to be probably like all the good rewards are probably going to be in the premium version. It just is what it is. But y'all also got to understand is that, so what some of y'all know, but most of you might not know, is that I am an avid NBA 2K player. Okay, I'm a big fan of, well, I don't know if I really want to say, I really like basketball, but the only option we have for a basketball video game is 2K. Okay, so I play a lot of 2K24, which is also a full price game and is way more egregiously like money hungry and like monetized than Tekken could ever be. Okay, that game is disgusting. And it's like, okay, if you give Namco an inch, they're going to take a mile. Who's to say that they won't someday reach that point? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't know. I'm not here to make that prediction. But what I will say is that, you know, I'm the type of player, the type of consumer that if I see something that I can justify spending the money and I have the money, then I'm going to buy it. You know, there's going to be times where I probably don't buy the battle pass, but if I see some items in there that I think are dope, I'm probably gonna buy it because I'm that type of player where I want the extra costumes, extra skins, the customization pieces, the health bars, the gauges, the panels, all that stuff. Hell, even this little pink helmet here with the ears, I want that. You know what I'm saying? This health bar gauge, I want that. So you know, whenever that battle pass pop up, I'm buying it. So it is what it is. If that makes you think less of me, then it is what it is. I don't blame you if you don't support it, if you don't want to buy it. All I ask is that you don't flame me for buying it because it's my money and I'm not telling you how to spend your money the same way you don't tell me how to spend my money. But what I will say is that I hope that the money that they're making from all these microtransactions and monetizing the game goes back into the development of the game and continues to help support it competitively and obviously for the longevity of creating more content for the game, whether it's more DLC, more updates, everything, so on and so forth. And you know, I have no reason to believe that that won't be the case. But I also hope that their focus on monetizing the game doesn't distract from balancing the game properly, creating, you know, good, fun, enjoyable content that's worth our time and worth our money, and everything like that. And so far, I wouldn't say that's the case. I know some people might disagree with that, but I've been seeing like a lot of dooming. We on full screen. I've been seeing so much dooming like on the timeline lately about Tekken 8. On my following page, I see people who love the game because people I follow, they don't doom on the timeline like daily. I'm the biggest doomer, I know. Like about all the people that be around on Twitter. But I love Tekken 8. I think the game is a lot of fun. It's great. It's frustrating. It's really hard. Fighting games are always like that, and Tekken 8 for me is like probably the game that gets under my skin more than any other. But I genuinely love the game, and I want to see it continue to thrive and grow and be successful. I want to see it be at these events. I want to continue to get better. I want to compete my damn self, at least in some online events. I don't really plan on going offline this year, but we'll see. But yeah, like I've made videos like critiquing the game or talk about things that I would fix or I would change or how it could be better. But at the end of the day, I still think it's an incredible product. And, you know, I almost tweeted this last night, but it ended up being one of the things where I typed up and then I deleted it and just kept it to myself. But I'll say it here in this video. I don't know if I'm just like, if I've got some sort of like, maybe Stockholm Syndrome's not necessarily the case, but like, if I've just been mistreated for so long by other publishers and developers and companies and games and whatnot, but it's like, in comparison to other games I've been playing in recent years, like I think Tekken 8 is a great game that isn't treating me nearly as badly as other games have. Like I feel like it's a good product. It's not a perfect product for sure, but that's why, you know, I will sit here and tell you I want to see this change or that change. And obviously there are people who feel much more negative than I do, and they feel strongly in that, and they're free to vocally express those things. And you know, I'm listening to those conversations as well. But like the conversations I'm seeing on Twitter, like people just act like it's the end of the world and like the game is so bad and blah blah blah. I'm like, yo, if y'all not having fun, go play Tekken 7 or adapt. It's one of the two. It's either go play something else or adapt to the new game. And I think that's a big part of that. So many people, they're trying to turn Tekken 8 into Tekken 7 when in reality, the truth is they are very much trying to make Tekken 8 very different from Tekken 7. The exact MO is that they want the game to be more aggressive. They want it to be more offensive. I understand that, you know, there's a conversation going on. We're going to get into that in a separate video as well. I got so many videos I want to record. I went from having like no ideas to a ton of ideas. But this whole discourse about fighting games becoming easier and the lower execution period and the accessibility and like old games versus new games and blah, blah, blah. And like I said, I'm going to get into a rant about that in a different video. But take Tekken 8 for what it is. Like I want people to stop trying to change Tekken 8 into a different game and think about the game for what it is and how you can improve the systems that exist within it instead of trying to change the systems. You know what I mean? Like instead of saying like, oh, heat needs to be removed, or like heat is a dumb mechanic and whatever. It's like, okay, heat should maybe work a little bit differently in terms of like maybe you earn it instead of like starting it with round start. And even then, I feel like that's like a big change because we've already seen how they want heat to be and we've already seen it change. So like the version of it we have is whatever, but instead of saying like maybe the mix-up shouldn't be as potent, but they want mix-ups in the game. So like I don't know, man. I've been seeing like people just act like the game is so terrible, and I'm just like, yo, like there are so many worse off games out there right now, like games that are getting monetized way worse, games that have way less content, games that have way worse online, games that don't even have lobbies, let alone functional lobbies. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, again, maybe all the games I've been playing are just so fucking bad that I can't tell that Tekken 8 may not be as great as I think it is. But it's like, it's also one of the things where it's like, bro, I didn't play games that are way worse than Tekken 8 and dealt with developers who are way worse and way less incompetent and don't listen to a damn thing that we be saying or asking for. And it's just like, I'm grateful. Like, again, I want the best for myself and I want the best for y'all, but I'm happy. I'm satisfied. Well, I want better for us, of course, right? I want to say satisfied, but it's like, I'm still asking for more because I know there's more on the table. You know what I'm saying? But like, I didn't expect the end of this video to be this way, so I apologize for the mini rant. But yeah, man, I just been seeing a lot of players just upset about Tekken 8, and you see this with every single cycle. Okay, with every fighting game, new game comes out. New game bad, old game good. Even though people had plenty of complaints and things that they hated about Tekken 7. No, wait a minute. Zoom out, bro. Zoom out. I cannot believe, okay, my office is a little bit messy. The futon was down. I might have been taking a nap down here earlier. I cannot believe, okay? I cannot believe I see niggas have the audacity, the gall, the gumption, the nerve to talk about how cool Geese Howard was and how they miss his 80% combos and how him doing a combo, jumping over a fucking mid before whiffing or after whiffing a bunch of fucking normals and getting an 80% combo, killing a character was lit. That shit was cool. That was style. Nigga, did y'all forget about Akuma? Y'all forgot about Geese? Y'all forgot? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. The revisionist history is fucking crazy. Nigga, we hated the 2Ds in Tekken 7. Ruin that shit. Geese Howard damn near single-handedly made me stop wanting to watch Tekken competitively. Are we for real right now? Are we dead ass? Tekken 8 is, for me personally, Tekken 8 is the most fun I have had playing a Tekken game since probably I was a kid playing Tekken 3. I ain't gonna lie. I think the game is great. And I think it's only gonna continue to get better. But this was supposed to be a video about a Tekken Talk, and here I am ranting and shit. But it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all this content when I bring you. And with all being said, it's pretty much off today. Remember, nothing can happen to you from the bad. Later.